I did my topic on the cultural conflict theory. The cultural conflict theory, also known as the cultural deviant theory, suggests that the main source of criminal activity can be found in the clash of values between differently socialized groups. In other words, people who were raised and brought up in an area with a higher rate of crime and criminal activity will probably have a higher chance of becoming involved with that rather than somebody who was raised just in a different area and differently just because that is what they see as the norm and in some cases acceptable. According to Celine in his book Cultural Conflict and Crime, he states that conduct norms or expectations of human behavior within a social group are acquired early in life through childhood socialization. So the events that take place in a child's life early on really are important for his future. There are two types of cultural conflicts. The first type is called primary conflict. This arises when a fundamental clash of cultural beliefs occur. The second type of conflict is called secondary conflict, and according to Celine, this is when smaller cultures within the primary one clash. So this also, secondary conflict exists between middle and lower class groups, and some examples of that would be gambling and prostitution. Criminal laws are said to be based on middle class values. Crime occurs when middle class values are at odds with inner city or lower class norms. Cultural conflict theory is shown in many lower class inner city groups by accepting gambling and prostitution, like I had said earlier, as a way of life. The same goes for drugs and drug dealing. In today's world, in many parts of America, drug dealing is an acceptable form of business. Law enforcement clearly is not for that way of life, so that is where the clash of these two opposing viewpoints take place. In some cases, crime can be seen to those that that's all they've ever known, and it's seen to be an easy solution at a desperate time, or just a way to get ahead of life, despite the consequences in the long run. Turning to crime can often offer a powerless individual with a sense of power and purpose. If an individual's parents were in and involved with crime while they were growing up, that's all the child is going to know, and if not taught, won't know that there's a better way of life. It's the clash of these norms between variously socialized groups that result in crime. Because crime is a violation of laws established by legislators, the criminal event itself is nothing more than a disagreement over what should be acceptable behavior. For some people, what we tend to call a crime is simply to them part of the landscape, part of their norm, and something that can be expected to happen to you unless you take certain steps to protect yourself.